Have you ever had someone ask you, who do you think you are? How are you ladies doing this morning? I hope you're all doing wonderful. You're here for your first feminine session in Feminine Rehab. My name is Dr. Michelle. If you're new, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here today. Today, we're gonna talk about two things, and it's all gonna be about you. Have you ever sat back and asked yourself, who am I? Or have you ever had someone tell you, who do you think you are? Either way, we're gonna talk about that today. So go ahead and sit back and relax, grab something to drink. Today I'm drinking some iced coffee in my little itty bitty London Bridge mug that I picked up in London. It's actually hand painted and so cute. So grab something to drink, grab something to write with, and let's talk about this. This is something that all of us humans grapple with, trying to identify ourselves with different things. And we do it in so many different ways. So many of us attach ourselves to who we are by whatever race we are, whatever country we come from. Say you don't necessarily even know where you come from, but you're living in a certain city. So in everything you do, you attach yourself to that city. I'm from Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, we do this. I act this way because I'm from this place. We attach ourselves to sporting teams, hairstyles. If you have natural hair, you might say, I'm a natural, and in everything you do, you attach yourself to that. If you eat a certain way, maybe you're a vegan, that might be what you attach yourself to. And some of you ladies even go as far as having a horoscope that you attach yourself to. So you may say, I'm a Scorpio, and because of that, this is why I act like this, and this is why I do things this way, is because of this sign. So we all do this in many different ways, especially as we're growing up. We try and find things that we can connect ourselves to. It gives us a sense of purpose, it gives us a sense of identity, it makes us feel good, it makes us feel like we're part of something. But this is very dangerous, and that's why it's something I want you to reflect on. Remember, in Feminine Rehab, we're doing a lot of internal work. You're gonna build yourself up from the ground and figure out who you are, why you're here, and what you need to do so you can live a life that is beautiful and fulfilling. So in order to find out who you are, you need to find out where you come from. You also need to find out why you're here. What are your gifts? What are your passions? What is your purpose? You finding out the answer to all of these different questions is going to help you to make decisions for your life. If you knew what you were designed to be, you would make decisions right now to ensure that you can get there. You wouldn't be doing things to harm yourself. You wouldn't be doing things to backtrack you getting on that path. It's very common as children for adults and other people to try to kind of push you in certain directions based on the way that you look, the way that you act. They'll try to tell you what you are. So if you're very tall, people may tell you that you should be a model or you should play basketball. And you might hear that from a really young age and just think, well, this must be what I'm supposed to be, and this must be how I need to identify myself because people keep telling me that. Personally, when I was younger, this happened to me all the time because I happened to look like a certain celebrity from a very young age. So as young as maybe 9 years old, I would have adults coming up to me and telling me, you look like Brandy. You remind me so much of Brandy, because I had braids when I was younger. I had a really big smile, and sometimes people would actually think I was her, and I liked her. I thought she was gorgeous. I loved her music. I loved her voice, and I thought, well, if I'm like her, then maybe I need to start acting like her and taking on these personality traits that I see her having maybe on TV. And even in high school, I remember they changed my name. They stopped calling me Michelle and they wanted to call me Mo for Moesha. So that's kind of like how they referred to me. And so I really was taking on this identity that wasn't mine. And it wasn't until years later when I met her that everything kind of changed for me in that regard. I was at the airport and it was the worst of worst days to meet her. And I truly believe that God did that for a reason. I was on my way to a photo shoot. I was dropping my mom off at the airport. I looked terrible that day. I was just rolling out of bed. I had my hair all like knotted up because they were gonna do it at the shoot. No makeup. I had on anything, just anything. I wasn't even paying attention to what I was wearing. And I ran into her. And when I walked up to her, I was like, oh, you're Brandy. It was so surreal seeing the person in the flesh that I've been compared to since I was a little girl. And when I saw her, I thought, well, we don't look anything alike, in my opinion. And I had the audacity to tell her that people thought that I was her. Looking the way I was looking that day, I was like, you know, people have told me that I look just like you. And she is so sweet. She just looks at me and she's like, oh, wow, really? That's great. She was so nice because I would have been like, I don't know about that. I asked her if we could take a picture together and we did. And yes, you can see exactly why I'm saying these things. And I think for me personally and my relationship with God, he was letting that be an illustration to me to break away from an identity that is not mine. And so it was so black and white in looking at that photo that we are not the same. And that's fine. But that happened to me so much growing up. As I started getting older, I really admired Megan Good, the actress. And I loved her personality. I loved her body language. Just everything about her reminded me of myself. And again, people would say that, especially men. They would say, you know, you just give me this Megan Good vibe. I would get it all the time as a teenager and as a young adult. And again, God allowed me to run into her. And when I did, again, like the sweetest woman ever. I was so blown away by her kindness, but nothing like me in terms of personality. We were very different. And that's what it took for me personally to really stop comparing myself to celebrities and people who other people said that I look like, because they're not like you. No one is like you. Everyone is completely unique in your own special way. And just like no one, not even twins, have identical fingerprints, all of the billions of people in the world, no two people have the same fingerprints. No two people are alike. You may have some similarities and some commonalities, but you should never align yourself with another human being. The only entity you should be aligning yourself with is God, the one whose image you were made in. Now, parents will do this often when you're younger. Parents were given to you to be able to guide you and to be able to be examples. And a lot of times they are blessed to have legacies to lead you with. So you might even be named after a parent or a grandparent and be molded to be like that person. You may have parents who work in a certain field and may try to mold you to be like them and work in that same field because they did and because they have something to hand down to you. But it may be completely different than the person you truly are. Let's say your parents are medical doctors, because I see this the most in the medical field. If parents are doctors or nurses, chances are someone in the family is going to be a doctor or a nurse. And that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing because you have a model and a guide to follow and to mimic after. It's only a bad thing if that's not your passion, purpose, or calling. Then you're doing something so outside of what God planned for you that you won't be happy and it won't come naturally to you, and it'll lead you down a road of a lot of frustration and could even cause issues between you and your parents. No one on this earth knows who you are. No one on this earth knows who you should be and what God's plans for you are. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God prepared for those who love him. You were predestined to be a certain woman. So no doctor, no psychologist, no college counselor, no one knows who you are and who you were destined to be, what you are capable of, what is inside of you. No one knows except for the one who created you. It doesn't mean not to listen to what people say, but don't take it to heart until you take it to God. So have you thought about this? Who do you think you are? Now, for those of you ladies who do have an idea of who you are, those of you who have taken the time to reflect on your life, taken the time to reflect on your gifts and your passions and your desires, and you've prayed about it and have taken steps of faith, that is beautiful. I want you to do this reflection for every single one of you ladies. Think about how you want people to experience you. Meaning, if you're naturally a kind and compassionate and sweet woman, that is a beautiful thing. Those are the things that God loves and admires in a person. So don't let another person trample on that. Don't let someone tell you that you need to toughen up because you're too nice. Now, if you don't have boundaries, then that's a concern. That's something you need to balance out. But don't allow people to turn you into a savage or turn you into this thing. Whatever was put into you was put into you for a reason. There were no mistakes made when God created you. You were made perfect for whatever destiny was planned out for you. So the way that you look, even your physical features, the way that you talk, your height, every single thing about you was designed for the purpose that you were made for. So outside of your physical appearance, which we talked about a lot in my other series that I'll link below if you want to start thinking about how you're presenting to the world, because that matters. But outside of how you physically look, the way that you present, the way that you act should be something that you are aware of. You shouldn't be surprised by your own actions every single day. You should have a set standard for yourself on how you want to behave and how you want the world to experience you. So think about Starbucks coffee. When you walk into a Starbucks anywhere in the world, you expect to have the same experience. Even before you get there, you know what you're going to experience. You know how it's going to look. You know it's going to be clean. You know that when you get there, there's going to be a certain kind of service. They're going to ask you what you want. You can customize your drink. They're going to ask you for your name. They're going to call your name. You know these things. And that's because the brand has made it very serious that they stick to a certain standard anywhere in the world. We can say the same for other restaurants that take pride in the way that they present and in the way that others experience them. The same goes for certain department stores. You know, no matter if you're in California, in Florida, in China, or in Brazil, you will have the same experience. And that is how you should be as a woman. You should be experienced in the same way, regardless of where you are and who you're talking to. Some of us believe that not everyone deserves your best. And that, my dear, is not true. You should be the same woman at work as you are outside of work, as you are when you go to church, as you are when you go to a party. You shouldn't be 4 different women in 4 different places. A person shouldn't know you from work and be shocked when they see you at the grocery store because you're acting completely different. You should have a certain package, just like the Starbucks experience. You should have a certain way that you present yourself, how you treat people, whether the person is super rich or super poor. So if it's a homeless person smiling as you're walking down the street and saying good morning, you shouldn't ignore them because they don't have money. Just like you shouldn't ignore a little child who's speaking to you because they're small. It doesn't matter who you're interacting with. This is a reflection of you. So if you were a company, if you were that Starbucks store or that Nordstrom's department store, how would you be experienced by everyone who comes in? And this is not to say that you shouldn't have boundaries, that you shouldn't allow people to cross the line. That's not what this is about. It's actually quite the opposite. This is so important for those times when people do cross the line, when people do provoke you, when people do irritate you. That's when it's going to be important for you to draw back, wait a second, how do I behave? And remember the standards that you set for yourself. However, I will add that it is dangerous to set these standards based on your own mind. These standards should be based on something concrete, and that is how you would like someone to treat you. Put yourself in another person's shoes, and that's how you decide how you're going to treat people. And then from there, you work on it. If you mess up, that's a learning lesson for you. You can say, ooh, I snapped. I shouldn't have done that. That's not the way I want people to experience me. This is a process, honey. It doesn't come overnight. I had to work on this year after year after year. And every time I would do it, I would notice, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. And I work on it until I get to the point where I'm the same across the board. Now let's switch over to those of you who know who you are, you're very confident in who you are, you've set standards for yourself, you have strong, high self-esteem, you treat people well, you do the things that you're supposed to do, and in turn, you've been blessed. You've been blessed with a nice lifestyle, you've been blessed with a great life partner, maybe you've been blessed with material things. And for those of you who are just blessed by nature, God just made you very physically attractive. You're a beautiful woman, or you have gorgeous hair, or a perfect smile, or you always present yourself in a way that just draws people in. These things are not things you even asked for. It's how God created you. For you ladies, you have another hurdle that you're gonna have to cross over. In order to really live as your best self, you're gonna have to get over it. Meaning, you're gonna have to say to yourself, this is who I am. Yes, I did not ask to look like this, but I do. I worked really hard for these things, and now I have them. If you're angry about that, that is not my problem. And you have to be able to live in those things and enjoy them and enjoy your blessings. I do not want you walking around feeling ashamed for the blessings that you have in your life. Do not dim your light because it blinds other people. If you are naturally blessed with certain abilities, if you're naturally blessed with certain things, it is an insult to God when you don't want to share that. You don't want to share that, you know what? I didn't always have these things, but now I do. And I'm so grateful that I have them. You cannot get to the place that God needs you to get to if you're feeling ashamed for every single accomplishment you make. If you worked really hard, you studied in college, you didn't go to all the parties, you were up late working hard, and you get a great degree, you get a great job, and people are jealous of that, you shouldn't feel ashamed and not want people to know that you have this job. I'm not saying go bragging about it. I'm saying when it's acknowledged, when someone says, wow, do you know Lisa has her master's degree in physical therapy? And you're like, oh, it's nothing, it's not a big deal. Don't do that. You stand proud and you smile and you say, yes, God is amazing, or yes, I do. Don't try to minimize it and say, oh, it's just a master's. Oh, it's just physical therapy, or it only took me 2 years. Don't try and downplay it to make other people feel comfortable. You stand strong and firm in that and say thank you. Or just smile and say nothing. You don't always have to say anything. You'll notice that people are usually proud of you for the things that you are, the person that you are. Accept that this is where you are in life and you worked hard to get there. That is so important, or else you'll never be able to be the woman that God created you to be, planned for you to be, if you're ashamed of your accomplishments. So my dear, what I want to leave you with today is this. Every single thing that was put on your heart in terms of who you are as a woman, God put it there. And He intended on you to find it. Once you do, don't allow other people to define you, to tell you what you're capable of, and to make you ashamed of the blessings and the things that you've accomplished. So take some time this week, sit back and reflect on who do you think you are. And join me on my podcast where I'm going to talk about this and go into more detail at A Feminine Impression. And follow me on my Instagram page, A Feminine Impression, to get more feminine content and motivation. I want to thank each and every one of you beautiful ladies for being with me today. Thank you for all of your encouragement and your love. I love each and every one of you, and I'm so thankful that you're here in my life. Thank you for all of your kind words and all of your encouragement. Thank you for all of the work that you're putting into yourself. I love you so much, and I'll see you at your next session. Big kisses. Mwah. Bye-bye.